I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, November the 5th, brought to you in part by Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. Kansas RMC has been treating patients with stem cell therapy for over 10 years. 60% of their patients are farmers and ranchers. Let them see if they can help you. Go to kansasrmc.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, going to have a lighter run because, like everybody else, they had some moisture around there. Not a lot of moisture in the Oklahoma Panhandle per se right there. Mostly less than an inch, but it soaked in well. It's still kind of muddy around, and they draw cattle from a long ways around, and it was wet everywhere. So just going to be a little bit curved receipts there. They're going to have about 2,000 head there for the feeder sale on Tuesday. Today, about 1,200 yearlings. The Ratcliffs have got a lot of cattle in there, and they're always really top quality yearlings. I got 250 head of lighter yearling cattle weighing in the 7s, and they'll be selling in loads, and then another 4 to 5 loads of big 1,000-pound steers, and they'll be top quality, guys, if you're looking for some good yearlings. Also, Todd Poling from Clayton, New Mexico, who I went to elementary school with. I've kept track of him, but I haven't got to really see him and shake hands with him probably for the last 40 years. But he and I were in grade school together, and I remember him well. He does a lot of custom harvesting and things like that, runs a lot of cattle. He's got 4 loads of commodity heifers in there. They'll be weighing in the 8s there at Beaver County Stockyards. And then they're going to be having their first in-house video sale. They've been working on trying to get that put together, but they're gonna have the first try at that, and then they're hoping to build on that as they go forward. If you would like to market your cattle with Beaver County Stockyards, you're not excited about the freight to get them there, get a hold of them, see if they want to do an in-house video. But they're going to sell 2 loads video heifers. They're going to weigh about 7 1/4. Those cattle are coming from Cotton Center, Texas, but they're not actually going to be coming there. They're going to sell them on the video there and then ship them right to the new owner from their home in Cotton Center, which is down close to Lubbock, Texas. But they'll have about 800 calves at the Beaver County Stockyards here today on Tuesday. I got a couple long strings. I got 1 string of 5-weight steers, 99 head of them. Got 2 rounds on them. A lot of 4 to 6 weight calves there. Most all of them will have at least 1 round of shot, mostly 2 rounds of shots, but still not too many of them weaned. But 200 to 300 cows on Wednesday. You can watch all those sales at DVAuction.com. If you're interested in bidding on them, get a hold of them early there. Jerry wants to talk to you before she approves you to bid, and then you can get on there and buy cattle from the comfort of your own home or in your pickup on your phone, wherever you're at. It all starts today. So here we are. It's election day, guys, and I hope you guys, I voted early. Really wanted to go vote again, but didn't figure that was right, and didn't figure they'd let me. But you guys, if you haven't voted, get out and vote. And get out and vote for Donald Trump. I tell you what, I am hoping and praying that Donald Trump gets back in. I hope you are too, and I hope we're right. Because if we're not, we're sunk, we're doomed. And not just maybe as a country, but also as an industry here. We've got a woman there that is far left than any of the lawmakers that have been with her for the last 8 or 10 years. She's a sponsor of the Green New Deal. They think that your cattle are ruining this country and causing climate change. And so they're going to make it tougher for you to own those cattle. They're going to make it tougher for you to own private lands. They're going to make it to where we have red meat restrictions on intake for our public. You can imagine what they're going to do to it whenever it comes to buying red meat for the military, for school lunch programs and things like that. It is not good, guys. And I'm just really nervous about that. I'm sure that you're probably nervous about it too. I remember 8 years ago, I was wanting Trump to get in then. And I had a friend of mine, still a friend of mine, but he was working in a real small rural community in the Texas Panhandle. And he called me on election day and he says, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh, I'm nervous. I sure hope Trump gets in." And he goes, "Trump's going to get in." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Well, I can just tell by the way they're voting around here." And I said, "You live in Texline, Texas. What the hell can you tell by that?" He said, "People are coming out of the sticks." He said they're getting old pickups that haven't been driven in a long time. They're getting rides. They're finding ways to get into town to vote for Trump. And he was right. And I think in 2020 we just took for granted that because we'd been enjoying the life and the economy and everything that Trump had been providing, and we didn't get in there and we didn't vote hard enough. You got to vote. If you know people that can't get out and can't vote, help them. Get them to the polls some way or another. Take it upon yourself to help somebody vote that wouldn't get to vote any other way. And then you say, "Well, you know, I live in Kansas or I live in Oklahoma or Texas, and it's not going to matter." It matters. It still matters for the total popular vote. We need that, and especially if you guys are living in some of these states that are the ones that are going to be the game changers. And my friends in New Mexico, we got a chance there. You got to vote there. You got to vote in Arizona. You got to vote up there in the Rust Belt. And in Georgia, I know I've got a lot of listeners that are in Georgia. Get your ass out there and vote. Vote for Trump. We've got to have it, guys. So I hope that I'm in good spirits when I come to you on the next Feeder Flash. Likely we probably won't know, and they'll be doing all their crooked shit to try to stuff ballots and everything else. You remember how they did 4 years ago? We went to sleep and Trump was winning, and we woke up and they'd found exactly what they needed. They needed to get the count done, so they knew how many more votes they needed. Of course, it was all kind of under the umbrella or under the veil of COVID 4 years ago. So we don't have that. And so maybe we can get a fair election. That's all we can really hope for, is a fair election. But you guys remember the county maps that shows who won the county. And whenever you looked at it after the voting was over, of course both last elections, it was totally red. It was just blue in spots where the big populations area live, where the big cities. And then there's a lot of people there, guys. It takes a lot of us rural people to outrun them. But it's not just the election that I'm talking about, that it all starts today. Today is the day that government overreach program called mandatory EID starts for all intact breeding stock over 18 months. All your exhibition stock, your rodeo stock, bison, anything like that. Today's the day that's enacted on them. Now, it's been enacted on dairy cattle for the last few years. That didn't bother the cattle people all that much. Now they're infringing on people that have breeding stock, and are going to be doing that. I've been telling you that once we kind of get that under our belt, then they're going to come with all classes. But we didn't put up a good enough fight against this. Now, RCAF and the National Civil Liberties Alliance, they have filed a formal complaint against the USDA for mandatory EID. They did it with help with a very, very distinguished law firm that does that type of thing in Washington, D.C. And they've done it through the District of South Dakota. But RCAF is saying that we need to put up a fight, and we need to call the Secretary's office and let them know how we feel today, the day that it's being enacted, because they're asking for a 180-day extension on this. So this is our last effort to do it. I can't believe how many people sent emails in on our little contest for the 10-year anniversary. I don't normally give phone numbers out on the feeder flash, but here's the phone number to the USDA Secretary's office where you can call and tell them this is not a good deal. It is 202-720-3631. That's the phone number to the Secretary of the USDA, and you need to call them and tell them how bad this thing stinks, and how you don't want people being able to come in there and take inventory of your cattle without you knowing it, and using it against us once technology gets bigger, and then they find out that your carbon credits are too much, how many cattle are out there, and what they think that they perceive they're doing to the climate, and then they're going to start issuing you more taxes on the amount of head that you have out there. It's just not good, and it doesn't do one thing to increase our ability to track down disease and traceability. They're not even going to be tracking the movement of cattle. That's one of the things that they're bragging about, saying, oh, this still's not that big of a burden on you. We're not even going to be tracking the movement of cattle. If you're not tracking the movement of cattle, what the hell is it good for? Because you can't trace disease down if you can't track the cattle. The brand inspectors on the western side of the United States, they're keeping track of cattle, and they are tracking their movement. They're doing a hell of a lot better job than this deal ever offers to be. But I'm so disgusted with our trade associations. And I'm talking about NCBA, which I'm always disgusted with them. They wanted to make this policy. But people got tipped off about it last year before their big convention, and they ended up not voting on it. But their biggest affiliates are still having steak dinners on your dollar a head, bringing producers in and slapping them on the back, giving them a steak dinner, telling them how great this deal is going to be for them. I'm disgusted with LMA, Livestock Marketing Association, and I'm hardly ever at odds with them. But there's not a sale barn in the country that wants this. They're supposed to be their voice, and their silence is deafening. It's ridiculous that they're not standing up and representing the businesses that that are breaking their backs to make them wealthy. The LMA, they do a lot of good stuff. They help out the auction markets in a lot of ways. But where are they when we need them to stand up for us and tell them we don't need the onus and the burden of enforcing this? And then they say they're going to be against it whenever it comes to all classes. I hope so. I haven't heard a peep out of them yet. The time to fight this deal has been as they've been getting it for the breeding stock. But now it's here, and likely not going to get anything done about it, but still want you to make that call, and maybe we can get an extension on it or something. But as easy as it was for them to get this breeding stock in, heck, they might start asking for all classes next week. We don't know. But let's talk about what happened on your board on Monday to start the week out here on a pivotal week. December live cattle was down 85 cents at 185.07. February was down 97 cents at 185.92. Your back months were down 45 cents to down 92 cents. Feeder cattle for November down 52 cents at 246.35. January is down 77 at 242.42. And your back months on feeder cattle down 75 to down 1 1/4. Let's talk about your grains. How about December corn up 2 cents a bushel at 416.5. We lost November beans. So now we'll move out to January beans. They were up 3.5 cents a bushel at 9.97 1/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December up 4 1/4 cent a bushel, at 5.71. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade for last week. We got the roundup all done. Your weighted average based on 70,400 head. Negotiated cash sales in your 5-area feeding region, which is not terrible, but not nearly as much as the previous week of 82,800. Same week a year ago was 55,200. Live sales of fat steers and heifers negotiated cash in your 5 area last week ranged in price from 187 to 192. That was steady to 50 cents lower. Weighted average on live steers was 189.82, down just 23 cents from the previous week's weighted average. So not too bad on your live prices there on live sales. Dress sales ranged from 296 to 304, and you're thinking 304. Now there was 420 head that traded at 304. The next closest was a light offering at $3, but it was mostly 296 to 298, steady to $2 lower. And your weighted average on dress steers was 296.97, down 193 compared to the previous week's dressed weighted average on steers. As a whole, your market in the Southern Plains was steady at 190. Northern Plains steady to $2 lower live and dressed, with live sales from 189 to 190 mostly, and like I said earlier, dress sales from 296 to 298. Now nationwide, we sold 87,600 head negotiated compared to 98,000 last week and 69,500 the same week a year ago. Of that 87,600 that sold negotiated nationwide last week, about 20% of those were for the 2 to 4 week delivery that packers use to kind of hold the market up, but they haven't been getting much more than that. So likely we'll keep about the same amount of leverage we've had. Negotiated grid sales last week totaled 46,000 nationwide. Forward contracts written last week 20,000 head, and formula sales 251,800 head. Of your 4 out of 5 regions that we get information from, Iowa sold 34,700 head negotiated cash last week. That is huge. Not as huge as what it was the week before, but my gosh, they have been plucking Iowa clean. They're bound to be tight on market-ready cattle, or those really top high-quality cattle, quality grade cattle there that those packers are wanting. They're bound to be tight on them because they've had 2 huge movements there on a cash side. Nebraska 24,300, Kansas 9,300, and Kansas is the area that's said to be the tightest on market ready supplies, so and pretty good movement out of them, of course, on top of all the formula sales. But Texas only 2,100. That's ridiculous that they only sold 2,100 negotiated cash in Texas. Box beef cutout values were a little bit higher to start the week out. Choice cuts up 57 cents at $316.91. Selects were up pretty decent, up $213 at $287.16. Your slaughter, 120,000 estimated slaughter on Monday for cattle. That's 1,000 less than the previous week, 3,000 less than the same week a year ago. I want to talk to you about Callaway Livestock Center's monthly cow special that they have there at Kingdom City, Missouri. It's happening this Thursday. It's always on Thursday at November the 7th at 6 o'clock p.m. They're expecting 1,000 head, including they're going to have the Wall Street Angus production sale right there on Callaway's special Thursday cow sale. They're having a production sale from Wall Street Angus, which is a pretty prestigious outfit, guys. They've got 125 registered Angus bred heifers and bred cows that they're selling. They've got 30 registered Angus bulls, 14 to 18 months. They're going to have excellent pedigrees, guys. You can buy you a fancy production sale bull there at Callaway Livestock Center's cow special on Thursday evening. Then on top of that, after they get done with that production sale, they've got 200 bred heifers. All these be top quality and mostly black. 200 young fall pairs, 300 heavy bred cows, and another 300 spring calving cows. So if you're interested in that, get on to DVAuction.com. Just call them a little bit earlier in the day on Thursday, November the 7th. Tell them you want to be approved to bid on DV, and you can do that. And I tell you what, it'll be a good opportunity to buy some cattle. Let's talk about what else is going on. Our 10-year anniversary for Feeder Flash. Man, we weren't expecting as many people to participate in the contest that we had on Monday, but my gosh, I had 4 screens full of emails answering the question that I asked for Monday, and they won the big prize. And the prize winner, I will give you, Monday's winner was James Crow from Crow and Crow Farms in Asbury, Missouri. The way that we did that, gosh, we had so many that answered the question correctly. We just did a random draw. We thought that would be the best way to do it. We couldn't do, people that are up all night and be the first one to get it in or the last one or whatever. So we just took the ones that had it correct, and we did a random draw on it, and congratulations to James Crow. Now we're going to have another contest here for today's Feeder Flash, which is sponsored by VITALIX, and VITALIX is giving away a 10-quart big fridge cooler there, and you're going to get that, plus you're going to get the swag bag with all the cool stuff from all the sale barns that we have listed here, which we've got a ton of them that wanted to be included in this. But the question for today is, and whenever you get ready to answer this, you can email, just send a simple email. Jillions of you found a way to do it. Send an email to feederflash@nationalbeefwire.com. But the question is, how many different types of tubs does VITALIX offer? Get the answer to that question, put your name and your address on there, send it to feederflash@nationalbeefwire.com, and you get right in there, and it'll be a random draw for everybody that answers it correctly. So I hope you guys are having fun with this. We are having a good time with it too. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states. Late in the day, sitting at 249.92. That was down 29 cents. Now, CME cash feeder cattle index still running higher than that, but it will back off once it gets all your Monday commodity sales in there, because it was cheaper. Talk about your big sales, and they were light. All the market receipts were curbed for the most part because of the wet conditions. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City only had 2,000 head. They had huge rains right in that local area there. Widespread 2 to 4 inches. Quite a few places with 6 to 7 inches, and some with as many as 10 inches of rain in central Oklahoma, guys. That is a ton. They couldn't handle it in Roswell, New Mexico. They did better in Oklahoma, but the tornadoes they had around there, they had a lot of damaging weather there in Oklahoma, so it just curbed receipts there and really couldn't get a good test of the market. Now, Joplin area, southwest Missouri, got big rains too. A lot of them got up to 8 inches of rain there, but they still had 5,400 head of cattle. Market was wildly uneven, but your losers outweighed the gainers mostly. So it was kind of tough for the market reporter there to get a grasp on it. Even Jackie in his YouTube video that I was lucky enough to be part of the previous Monday, he was a little up and down on it, but he said it was a little better than maybe what it looked like to the market reporter there, and of course he knows he's supporting that market, but still it was very uneven. They did have one load of cattle in there I thought was pretty impressive. 65 steers weighed 808 pounds at 256. Now, your National Beefwire Stickout Sale of the day was up in the Northern Plains in Faith, South Dakota. Faith Livestock Auction. They had a big run up there, about 6,600 when I pulled this. I think they were still selling the last part of them there. But you look at your best tested weights, and it was all calves. It was a fancy calf special. That's what they're selling, those big ranch calves, 1 iron deals, big long strings of them up in that part of the country right now. Most of them still unweaned, but 2 rounds of shots on them. And been talking to people that are getting those big strings from up there, and they're not having a lot of problems with those. Let's talk about your best tested weights. How about 1,582 head of 4-weight steer calves? They average 460 pounds with a weighted average price of $352.75. My goodness. How about 2,353 head of 5-weight steer calves in Faith, South Dakota? They average 537 at $321.99. 539 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 633 at 298.05. Your heifers, 271 head weighed in the 3s, average 365 at 340.32. 787 head of 4-weight heifer calves, average 451 at 309.97. And there were 600 head of 5-weight heifer calves in Faith, South Dakota. They averaged 528 pounds with a weighted average price of $287.31. Give you some individual quotes about Lanesboro, Minnesota. Lanesboro Sales Commission there. They sell 51 steers weighed 749 at 276 and a quarter. Wow. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock up in Worthing, South Dakota? They're a DV auction broadcaster there. They sell 180 head of 967-pound steers, pushing $1,000, guys, and bring $2.50 a pound. My goodness. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrison No BS top quote for the day, of course, come out of Faith Livestock Auctions calf special there. They had 204 head of 401-pound fancy steer calves, bring $410, or almost $1,650 a head. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.